What it do, what it does, welcome back to the second devlog. I'm guessing if you're here now, that means you may have enjoyed the first devlog. I hope so anyway. In the last devlog, I gave you guys a quick overview on the thought process I used to get the ball rolling on this project from the ground up. In today's video, I'll be giving you guys a more thorough introduction to some of the characters that you'll be seeing in the game. Now this video might be a little bit long, but bear with me, it's worth it in the end. Anyway, let's chit chat, let's get stuck in. Now as always, cue that intro, baby. Alrighty, the first one on the list is Cowboy Corey. Yeehaw! Ah yes, the infamous Cowboy Corey. Probably one of my favorite characters to work on, and is based around one of my good friends, yep, you guessed it, Corey. Now my mate Corey is a real blokey bloke, and is what you would call a modern day cowboy. The man loves to hunt, shoot, fish, and basically do everything a grown man in the 1800s used to do to survive in the Wild West. Which is how I guess I come up with the name Cowboy Corey. Go figure. Now the type of elements or school of attacks Cowboy Corey performs are mainly to do with both hunting and being an outlaw cowboy. With a twist of course. Cowboy Corey manipulates the power of electricity in his attacks in order to shake things up a bit and electrify the playing field. I'm sure you've realized by now that Cowboy Corey is purely a ranged class and is only able to wield ranged weapons such as rifles and other variations of guns. Cowboy Corey can only wield one gun at a time in his main hand and uses quite a bit of stamina to shoot his ranged weapons, so being strategic with attacks is crucial. Now that we've covered the basics, let's go over some of the abilities. First ability is the standard auto attack, named Piercing Shot. This ability consumes no mana, however, it does consume stamina every time you attack. A key point about this ability is that it requires the player to have a weapon equipped, and you can aim down sights while using this ability for pinpoint accuracy. This ability is great for general combat scenarios, and even more important when you are out of mana. But remember, use your stamina wisely. Next up on the list is the Dynamite Throw. As the name states, Cowboy Corey leaps into the air and readies the dynamite to be thrown at the enemies. Once you are in the state of throwing the dynamite, you will be presented with the trajectory lines to aid you in pinpointing where to throw the dynamite for an even killer explosion. Oh, I also forgot to mention, these dynamites hit a range of enemy targets within a short radius, and each enemy hit by the explosion will be stunned for a short period of time. Next up is the Explosive Trap. Now this is a very simple yet effective ability. Basically how it works is, Cowboy Corey carefully places down the trap in front of him. Once the trap has been set, he waits for his prey to step on it to set off the deadly and electrifying trap. Enemies that step on the trap will be damaged and stunned for a short period of time. Cool, huh? There's really not that much more to say about this ability. It's quite simple and is highly useful for crowd control. Up next is the Shooting Range. Again, the concept for this ability is quite simple. Cowboy Corey summons a powerful tornado, causing him to spin around rapidly whilst shooting his gun, causing AoE damage to all enemies within range. Now the type of damage this attack deals is damage over time, meaning that the damage to enemies within range will tick every second, not just one hit like other standard attacks. For the final attack, we have the special ability called Dangerous Territory. This attack deals high amounts of damage to all enemies within the vicinity, using a damage over time, similar to Shooting Range. The only difference is, each time an enemy is hit they are stunned for at least a second or two, incapacitating them and hindering their advances towards Cowboy Corey whilst dealing a large amount of damage. Some would say this special ability is quite overpowered, but I like it. Well, that's about it for now for Cowboy Corey. Now it's time to move on to the notorious pirate, Big Bad Brendo. Oh yeah, Big Bad Brendo! If you've ever watched Pirates of the Caribbean, or any pirate movie for that matter, you might want to buckle up, because this is definitely the character for you. But before we get into any of that juicy stuff, a little backstory on who I modeled this character after. I basically modeled this character after one of my close friends, Brendy. Now don't let his love for glizzies put you off. This man is a menace and is bad to the bone. Don't let the photos fool you. Hence, I came up with the name
Big Bad Brendo.
Are you noticing a pattern with how I'm naming my characters? Very creative, huh? Anyway, Big Bad Brendo is one of the more unique characters that I've made because of how technical some of the abilities are and how timing attacks and positional prowess is key to survival. Enough talk, let's look at some of the abilities. First attack on the list is Pirate Skirmish, which is Big Bad Brendo's version of an auto attack, in which he attacks with both weapons. Again, similar to Cowboy Corey, this attack uses stamina and no mana is required. Whether the fight is up close or at a distance, Big Bad Brendo is able to cover all grounds to land some devastating attacks. It is, however, a little tricky managing this style of fighting, but it's a pirate's life and they don't do things the easy way. Now the thing that makes this character unique is that the main hand weapon will always be a melee weapon and the offhand will always be a ranged weapon. Also, it's important to note that because the offhand is a ranged weapon, the player is able to aim down sights for improved accuracy. If the player decides to only equip one of those weapons, they will only attack with that weapon, but will be limited in casting the other abilities, but the option is always there. Again, this solidifies the difficulty associated with playing this character. Next ability is the Vortex Blast. This is one of the more exciting attacks that I designed for Big Bad Brendo. It's simple but quite impressive. Big Bad Brendo unleashes a cunning surprise attack in which he entraps all enemies within the vicinity in an ocean-like vortex. Basically, if you're not a nerd, what this means is, any enemies that are in front of Big Bad Brendo when he casts this ability will be trapped in the vortex for a couple of seconds, rendering them stunned and unable to attack. Now in theory, this sounds all well and good. However, if I made it to be that all enemies were hit by this attack, it would be a little bit overpowered, right? So, I had to limit it to a maximum of 5 enemies, which to me felt like it was much more reasonable and not that overpowered. Also, I should probably add, the player is healed with 10% of maximum health for each enemy that is hit, so it's a win-win really. Alrighty, moving on to the next ability, we have Tidal Shield. This ability is pretty straightforward. Big Bad Brendo summons a water-like shield that will protect him for an extended period of time or until the shield is depleted. This took a bit of effort in order to get the logic set up properly, especially in regards to removing the shield when it is depleted compared to when the shield timer expired. You're probably asking yourself, well, how much can the shield absorb before being depleted? Well, the answer to that question is quite simple. The value of the shield is a combination of both the player's armor and health values. I felt as though this would make it somewhat scalable as you collect better gear and level up. This also takes into consideration the fact that enemies will be hitting substantially harder as the game progresses. Now for the third ability we have Pirate's Flurry. This attack is actually very simple. Big Bad Brendo leaps into the air and unleashes a flurry of rockets at a target location, dealing large amounts of damage to all enemies within a small radius, leaving only a trail of death and destruction.
Oh yeah!
Nothing else to really add here, just pure mayhem. For the final ability, we have
Big Bad Brendo
Special Attack, where he summons the notorious cursed pirate
Benny the Mad Shelley
to do his dirty work. This skeletal pirate runs around and beats the living shit out of anyone or anything in sight. It's actually quite the spectacle to watch. Whilst the special is active and the skeletal pirate is out punching holes in faces, Big Bad Brendo gains a significant damage boost, and you will notice the projectiles looking a little different. Also a side note, casting this ability will drain at least 50% of total mana, so it's actually quite expensive to cast. Setting up the logic for this pet was actually a lot of work, and I will do a deep dive on this in a future video, because it's actually really tricky. But once I got the logic sorted, I was able to copy and paste and replicate for other characters. Now that we got that sorted, coming up is the final character for this video, Sensational Smog. Last but not least, we have the fabled Sensational Smog. Oh yeah, the great and powerful Sensational Smog, a master hitman with a blazing desire for destruction. This character is by far one of the most polished and impressive characters I've designed and built. But before we go too far down the rabbit hole, let me tell you about who I modeled this character after. Sensational Smog was modeled after my big homie and all-round bad Simmer. Now don't let the fancy suit fool you, this man is a big softie and loves Star Wars more than the average nerd. Oh, and let's not forget, he's basically a pro at anything he does, except for maybe spelling, but that's what autocorrect is for. Hence why it was only fitting to name this character Sensational Smob. Okay, enough bombing smoke up his bum. Let's dive headfirst into the abilities. Alrighty, first ability on the menu is the Flaming Shot. Now, there's nothing too fancy with this ability. Basically, this is Sensational Smob's version of the auto attack. Similar to Big Bad Brenda, Smob wields a weapon in his main hand and his offhand. If only one weapon is equipped, then Smob will only attack using that weapon. I mean, it makes sense because there's no other weapon equipped, so, you know. Also, because Sensational Smob is primarily a ranged character, you are able to aim down sights, similar to what we have seen with Cowboy Corey and
Big Bad Brenda.
Again, this attack only uses stamina and not mana. You will notice that this is the case with every character that I've made. This helps to differentiate between auto attacks and player abilities. Next up is the Gentleman's Fury. Unlike the other abilities we've seen before, this is considered a power-up ability, meaning it provides bonus stats and improved capabilities for the player for a short period of time, rather than doing damage or attacking an enemy. This ability heals the player for 10% of maximum health and increases both movement speed and damage by a small amount, based on the player's level. This requires a main hand weapon to be equipped in order to cast this ability. Besides that, there's not much to it other than being a juicy power-up. Next up is a personal favorite, Flame Breath. Sensational Smob unleashes a scorching and powerful flame breath, burning all enemies that come in contact with this fiery onslaught. Each enemy will be burnt by this attack for every second that they are impacted by the flames. This by far was one of my favorite abilities that I designed, and I felt that this really highlighted how badass this character really is. I mean, what's cooler than a hitman in a tuxedo breathing fire? You tell me. Go on, I'll wait. Next is the Spinning Dragon Kick. Sounds fancy, I know. This ability was initially designed to be a close range attack, where Sensational Smob would kick the enemy in close proximity. But instead, I decided to switch it up and change it into a ranged attack, where a flaming dragon spirit is summoned to attack oncoming enemies, similar to a standard projectile. Why the switch up, you ask? Well, because dragons are way cooler, that's why. It's important to note, all enemies struck by this attack will be stunned for 3 seconds, limited to a maximum of 5 enemies in one go, so that it is not too overpowered. Now, last but not least, Sensational Smob's special ability, Burning Rage. As the name states, Sensational Smob loses all control and unleashes the raging fire within, and transforms into an unstoppable killing machine, resulting in a substantial boost in stats and damage, causing Sensational Smob to destroy anything and everything in his path. Like all special abilities, this requires 50% mana to cast, and this special form only lasts for roughly 30 seconds. Now 30 seconds doesn't sound like much, but a lot can happen in 30 seconds, especially when you're an unstoppable killing machine. Also, you'll notice that the projectiles for the auto attacks appear greatly enhanced and deal much more damage. Overall, I'm really happy with how this special ability looks and functions. I also feel that creating a separate skin for the special form was a nice added touch. What do you guys think? I'd love to hear your feedback and ideas in the comments below. Sheesh, that was a long video. Sorry about that, but I had a lot to cover. Anyway, thanks for sticking with me and my annoying voice up until the end. If you guys liked this video, I would really appreciate it if you liked, subscribed, and shared with your friends. I know you guys hear YouTubers say this all the time, but honestly it helps me out heaps, and I will love you forever for it. Also, I would love to hear feedback from you guys. It's awesome hearing what you guys have to say in the comments, and it really inspires me to work even harder on my game, so thank you. Anyways, that's all the time we have for today. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace. Come in at the place and make the dance all hot.